Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to install a 7-pin electrical connection for your trailer hitch. And today's video is part 2 of a 3-part series that I'm doing in collaboration with KDM Kurt and DIY Collaborative. So make sure you check out their channels and subscribe for their content. So for today's installation, we need the 7-pin wiring kit, and that comes with all the wires that you're going to need, as well as all the relays and a couple of zip ties. Then I also have a mounting bracket so that we'll be able to mount our 7-pin connector onto our trailer hitch. Some hardware, some grease that we're going to use, and then a couple of tools, pry bar, our 10mm socket wrench, as well as a couple of screwdrivers. First things first, on the opposite end of your 7-pin, there's going to be these 2 connectors. There's a gray and a black one. This connection is going to go on the back of your vehicle on the passenger side. The first thing we had to do was locate them and remove the harnesses, the plastic harnesses that had them placed up inside there, and you'll see them right here. And they also had 2 caps. So the gray one had a little cap. We had to use a flathead screwdriver. And then the black one also had a cap as well, and we had to pry it off with another screwdriver. That's what these look like right here. And so these were just to prevent any corrosion, anything going into those 2 harnesses. When we start to get these ready, we're going to put a little bit of grease inside both of these. So that's going to prevent a lot of the corrosion and any moisture getting inside those electrical connections, because you don't want to have to come in here and repair those things. So normally you want to use dielectric grease in order to put some inside of those connections. Today we're using bulb grease, but it's the same thing. And so again, that's going to help to protect all of your connections from any moisture or any damage on the road. So you want to snake your smaller ends through a couple of the different parts of your fascia as well as your trailer hitch. That way you know for sure that it's going to be able to fit into the orientation that you want it. So now we're going to make the connections up in here. So we're going to do the gray one first. Pull up a little bit of slack. And this one's going to go just like this. You hear a good audible click. And then the black one as well. There we go. And then we're going to use those 2 plastic harnesses to just reseat those back up onto the frame. So we pulled all the slack through in order to give us as much leeway as possible for when we're installing the 7-pin section. But you'll get that zip tied and maneuvered however you want once ever you finish this portion. For this bracket, you'll notice there's 2 holes at the top, and in order for the clearance for the connector in the back to fit, you'll have to mount this below this bracket, because if you mount it on top, the connector won't fit because of the trailer hitch right here, the very bottom of it. So make sure whenever you're doing this, you do it underneath this bracket. We're going to use a couple of bolts here. We're going to do it with a washer and a lock nut as well. So once you get those situated, do it underneath like this, and then you'll start to thread it and we'll get it seated properly. So now that we've got the bracket installed, we're going to install the 7-pin connector here, and you'll notice the holes are on just the very outer edge of this plastic housing. So you want to be sure that when you're installing it with the bolts that they provided, you don't over tighten it at all. It's not going to be supporting any weight of anything, so you don't have to over tighten it. Now that we've mounted the 7-pin connector, we're gonna go ahead and put some grease onto the connection here and then just click it in. So the last step that you want to do back here while you're underneath the vehicle is secure your wires. And you want to make sure that they're not hanging down at all. You don't want to get them caught on like any tall grass or anything that might be on the road. So use some zip ties, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fasten it to the bumper, to the fascia. There's a couple of holes. There's one on this side, one on the other. Then I'm going to use in order to secure it all the way up inside. But it's whatever your personal preference is for however you want to make sure that it's protected. So next we need to get into the rear cargo area of the vehicle, because there's some wiring underneath the cargo panel here, and it's on the driver's side. The first thing we're going to do is open up our cargo area, and then we're going to pull off this fascia right here that covers this area of the vehicle. I've got a pry bar that I'm going to use here. We're going to look for the little plastic connectors. Once we get a few started, you can pull off the rest of the panel. There's actually a little plastic connector there, so we can take that off and move it to the side. Then this next section, we're going to take out the bucket here, and you can either use a 10mm socket for this 1, 2, and 3 bolts, or you can use a screwdriver as well. So once those are removed, you're going to pry up these 4 little white fasteners here on the back end of the plastic. And you just use a little pry bar, it comes right out. Go. And once that's complete, we should be able to lift this up a little bit. And we're going to close this and lift it up so that it comes up and it sits on top of the third row. Once that's out of the way, we're going to come over here to this little section that has the 2 clips right here. You're going to lift these up, and then this plastic panel pops right off, and you can see there's a little bolt in there, also 10mm and also Phillips head. We're going to remove this one and that one. Thank you. So now, before we install the wiring harness, we're gonna put 3 relays on the end right here. The 2 blue go onto the 2 white ones, and then this brown one clicks into this brown section as well. There is no wrong way to put these on. It won't be able to click on. There you go, and you'll hear a little click. See, I almost did that one incorrectly. There we go. There we go. So this is a view inside of the area where we're trying to get to. You'll see there is a black plug and a white plug right there. They're mounted to the frame of the vehicle. We're gonna plug in the harness. It also has the black and white plug as well. There is not anything protecting those 2, so you don't have to manually pull out anything. These will just snap right in place once we install those. I'm gonna route the relays in first and push them up inside of this cavity. And so those will sit right there. And then we're gonna have some orientation here. So sorry if I'm blocking the view. All right, so there's a shot of both the white and the black connectors connected, and you can see the wiring that comes off of it right there, and it goes off in this direction, and you can see the relays that are up back inside there. They're just gonna hang out right there. You can zip tie those, but it's not really gonna matter. It's they're just gonna sit back here in this cavity. Now that you've got the wiring installed into this little cavity back here, you're gonna do the opposite of how we removed everything. You're gonna put this little panel back over here with the cargo loops. You're gonna put the whole cavity bucket, the cargo bucket, back into place here. And then you're also gonna secure the fascia that goes over this portion of the rear of the vehicle. So the final part of the installation is to use the other two relays that are provided in the kit. You're gonna install them inside of this fuse box. You'll see though, however, I've already actually got two relays here, so those are gonna do just fine. Thanks for joining us today, guys, as we installed the 7-pin connector. Again, this was video 2 of a 3-part series. The next video that we're gonna do, part 3, is gonna be how to install a brake controller inside of our cab. Thanks again, and make sure to hit that subscribe button.